con man, slimeball reporter. That's not our guest, Jeff. I apologize. Those are actual quotes in the last few days from Donald Trump, the President of the United States, directed at Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. Now, Jeff, no offense, this story is so damn timely, and it really does affect journalism. I went to the horse's mouth. I emailed Jeff. We have his email. We've interviewed him in the past, and here's what I got back. Thank you for writing. This is an automatic email response. Unfortunately, because of the volume of correspondence, I cannot read or answer every email I receive. My apologies if I not get yours. No, I know the audience.
He's a little busy. He's a little busy right now.
So then I went to my best friend, ChatGPT, and this is what I asked. I said, who is the most renowned professor of newsroom journalism in the United States? Gave me 4 names in this order. Now, you tell me if this is wrong. Bill Adar, the Knight Professor of Practice of Journalism and Public Policy at Duke, founder of PolitiFact. That was the first name. Second, Tom Rosenthal, who teaches at University of Maryland, wrote Elements of Journalism with Bill Kovacs, right? I read that, I think. Leonard Downey Jr., former executive director of The Post, now professor at Cronkite School at ASU. And here's the fourth, Jeff Jarvis.
Well, I'd put Meredith Clark ahead of me because that's all white men. I'd put Jay Rosen ahead of me because he's an actual academic. There's others I'd put ahead of me.
Well, ChatGPT.
Yeah, but I get the thing here. I get the joke, which is just like the signal discussion out of our defense and intelligence. They put the wrong Jeff in. You got the wrong Jeff today.
Well, listen, the reason you're on the show is you have a deep expertise in media ethics. You've trained millions of journalists who have drank from your knowledge at your feet. I want to get your perspective on this story, how it affects our industry. And at the end, in about 15 minutes, I want you to grade Goldberg. Was he a sleazebag, a con man, a slimeball, or did he perform as a joke? Don't give us your grade yet, as if he was a student of yours. We're going to do all that. Everybody stick around in the backside of this.
This episode of E&P Reports is exclusively sponsored by Blocks Digital, formerly Town News. Even though the name has changed, their commitment to the media industry is as strong as ever. Blocks Digital is now even better positioned to deliver integrated solutions like content management, audience development, advertising revenue, video management, and more. Join the over 2,000 news publishers worldwide that power their ongoing digital transformation with Blocks Digital, serving over 141 million monthly users who view over 6.5 billion pages of content each year. You can trust Blocks Digital to empower you, to connect you at scale with the community you need to reach. Blocks Digital, formerly Town News, now reimagined to help meet the news publishing challenges of tomorrow and beyond. Learn more at blocksdigital.com.
All right, Jeff, let's go to the classroom. Let's say a journalist gets their hands on a leaked document that could be explosive, but it's unverified. What's your advice on the first steps, obviously? Now, my wife claims that if this story was reversed and it was a Democratic administration and a Fox News journalist had gotten this document, she believes, and I'm not being that it would have gone up instantly, not waited the week. What should a journalist do if they get inadvertently hit with something like this?
Well, let's first be clear that it wasn't a leak. A leak presumes some intentionality, and this was just an incredible screw up.
Okay.
Which I think matters because Goldberg found himself, as he puts it, sitting in a grocery store parking lot saying, WTF, right?
Right.
Here I am. And on the opposite end of your question, I've heard many on the socials praise Goldberg because he didn't wait 2 years to put it in his book, which is a dig at various New York Times and Washington Post journalists. He did come out in a timely fashion, having been careful about what he did and how he did it. And so I think your wife's right. I think that the Murdoch empire, if they had the opportunity to attack a Kamala Harris administration, would have been immediately on it. damn the torpedoes.
Right. And there was a delay where he analyzed it. It didn't come out immediately with it, right? He didn't immediately from the parking lot put it out there. There was a gap where he verified and maybe had a couple cocktails, right? Or whatever.
Well, yeah. With a few friends to say, what the hell?
Right. Yeah.
Years ago, I remember sitting with Alan Rusberger, who was then the editor of The Guardian, as they were going through the Snowden thing. And I remember the weight of the world that was on his shoulders as his government was coming after him. And I think that this is a heavy weight that journalists in this situation bear. Goldberg, I think very importantly, his first instinct was to say, I'm being gamed here. Some crazy right-wing group is kind of trying to entrap me into doing something stupid and printing something ridiculous. And so his antennae, his BS antennae went way up, which is exactly what a journalist should do.
Exactly. And that's why I applaud him. I think okay, so now there's a lot of backlash now. And this administration has one gear, which is pick on the source, not in any way apologize, just keep pushing forward. So now this guy's a sleazebag. According to the spokespeople out of the White House. How is this, I'm going to take you back to 50,000 feet. How does that affect our industry in general? Are we still in the same place? Are we looking better? Or is it just completely, totally making us, again, fake news all the time?
Oh no, I think, I had a German radio reporter called me for a podcast a few weeks ago, and he said, does Trump even need big media anymore? He seems like he doesn't. And I think that's right. He's spent so long attacking incumbent institutional media that it kind of really doesn't matter anymore. It's just can't. It's just a script. It just comes out. I don't think there's any more damage that he's going to do. We know what he thinks about journalism. We know what he thinks about big media, and that's that. As to whether we come off better, I don't want to give the grade too early because you told me not to, but because Goldberg did so well in this, then I think that that only helps us.
I agree. I think it was nice to see media and journalism be journalism again.
Amen. I've been highly critical of our leading institutional enterprises. I have indeed. My hashtag button is getting worn thin as I do the hashtags Broken Times and Broken Post and Murdoch Journal.
Right.
And I think, Mike, one of my theories here is that we have a crisis of judgment. Is that in this age of mass media and the effort to serve everybody, which is a myth because they never served everybody. They've become so cautious. They've worn out the thesaurus, trying to find ways not to say authoritarian, totalitarian, and fascist. And the problem with that is when you don't use that label, you can't then explain what is really going on. You can't call on history and Hannah Arendt. And so, we're both old enough. I just found out that you're old enough to have operated a linotype. Jeez,
yes,
you are an old guy.
You're writing a book about linotype, right?
Called Hot Type, Bloomsbury out, whatever the hell I finish it.
Yeah.
Wonderful story. But you might also be old enough to know that back in the day when you wanted a big headline, you couldn't set it on the linotype because it only went to a certain size. The next bigger was the Ludlow headline machine, but that only went to a certain size. You had to bring out the wood.
Exactly.
Literally wood type. If you wanted war!
Yeah.
Exclamation point. That was the wood. Well, I believe that our major newspapers should be bringing out the wood every damn day. But there's because they've been so muted if they turn around now and say, "Oh my God, this is big," it makes all of their prior judgment bad. So they just stay constantly muted. What's great about the Signal story is that it's obviously a big story. It's obviously important, and everybody had to treat it with some size. They didn't put the wood on it they should have put on it, but it spread all around. I looked at Tech Meme, which pulls up headlines and then links to all those who have versions of it. And there was just a huge list of everybody who was covering this story. By the way, just a little aside here, that's a lesson to us in the discussions about AI and copyright, because there was only one definitive story that was Jeffrey Goldberg's in The Atlantic. Everybody else read it, learned from it, and rewrote it. And so what we accuse AI of doing, we do to ourselves every day.
Now, do you think that this will incite some people to start baiting newsrooms. In other
I don't
words,
think they need any incitement. They've been doing it as long as they can. The question is when a newsroom has their guard down and doesn't realize that.
they're just so anxious for that click, for that share, that they'll jump on anything just to
No,
grab that audience.
I think, it's the old saw of asking one too many questions ruins the story. And sometimes it's true of every one of us on social media. How many times have we, I'll confess, I've done it, where I didn't stop and say that's too good to be true. And I shared it, and then, soon thereafter I had to say, sorry, I got taken, and I shared that. And I hope that my reflexes are now calmed down and better, is that if it's too good to be true, whoa, hold on, it probably isn't true. Though in this case, it was true.
Build some policy into this. I'm assuming there is policy. I mean, I don't know. I haven't gone back to the, SPJ's standards or books or what have you. But I mean, should you immediately bounce this off 3 or 4 people? I mean, rather than trying to be the star, should you get third opinions?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a process, and to be important here for me to say, Mike, I used to edit long ago in a newsroom and edited some investigative stories, but it's been a long, long time since I've done that. So, I'm not up on what the latest views are on process here, but just logically, you have to do a smell check immediately and look for anybody to say, this is why you shouldn't trust this. And then before you publish, you've got to go to the source. And there was a case here that Goldberg went to the department, said he got confirmation that this was in fact the communication. The more interesting question to me is, what if they had lied to him and said, no, it's not? Now, in fact, he would have had a better story then, because eventually it would have come out, and he would have also had them lying to him, which somebody was smart enough to realize that they just had to go with it at that point. But he had to get that verification. Then the other fascinating part of this story is that he responsibly held back a lot, just as The Guardian held back a lot from the Snowden revelations in the day, because they made a responsible judgment about national security and safety. But when Tulsi Gabbard et al. Went before Congress saying, no, nothing classified there, nothing classified there, Trump, nothing classified there.
Wasn't that
Then he was
stupid?
freed. But he was freed then to say, okay, then I'm going to publish it. And again, he went to them and they said, okay.
I'm sorry, this is not an education. I wanted to stay away from just commenting on the stupidity, but to have them sit in front of Congress knowing it was classified and make that claim knowing the journalist could release it is the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen in every network, including Fox, was covering that. And the journalists had the ability then. I mean, they almost said, they were like waving at him, Jeff, post the damn stuff, please. We're gonna destroy you right now on national television and try to hurt your brand, your credibility, the Atlantic, and bring you down. Where he had all the cards, right? He could.
Yeah, it's a cavalcade of stupidity. I mean, it is all around. And what's fascinating is that by releasing the full text, it's highly revelatory about the relationships. I mean, you really see how to report on an administration, I use air quotes around the word administration, like this. You see Vance disagreeing with the king.
Right.
You see a debate going back and forth. You see Vance hating Europe. You see Stephen Miller coming in and cutting it all off, clearly as the voice of the god. And that's that, and we're doing this, and Vance is sidelined. It's fascinating to see this. So it's a rare moment from their stupidity. They shouldn't have been on Signal at all. They shouldn't have done this on Signal. They certainly shouldn't have added the wrong Jeff. But having gotten it, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to see what was happening here. One assumes that they're not going to be this stupid again, though this gang is pretty dumb.
Right now, just a lesson to humanity. The one thing you got to say about Trump is he does not ever have anything in writing. He doesn't get on chats. He doesn't
do email.
I mean, I look back at when the night of the election, Fox's emails were finally released. You really see what's going on inside that newsroom if you read each and every conversation going back and forth. I think it's a lesson to all humanity. Why the hell would you type something that, I mean, you should never type anything that you don't want your grandmother to see, right? I mean, isn't that pretty much?
Yeah, there are, but then again, transparency's good. We in journalism believe in transparency. We are agents of transparency. We try to make things that are opaque transparent. So I don't want to encourage. I mean, part of the reason they were on Signal was so that this couldn't be FOIA'd, it couldn't be discovered, it couldn't be found. It was a violation of government transparency. So part of the scandal here was the use of Signal at all for government business.
Point taken. You are correct. All right, so let's do it. Let's bring it home. I mean, this has been an interesting conversation. You are a professor, according to ChatGPT.
Kind of, I snuck in the side door. I'm not a real academic. Just a journalism professor is just kind of a different beast.
All right, whatever. Give this guy a grade. How does he represent the industry, the true ethos of journalism today in America? How did this guy do?
Oh, this is unquestionably an A+ and skip the next class. The Atlantic is an amazing beast. I admire a tremendous amount of their work, but I also say that in a sense they're a hot take factory. They try to have more and more and more and say something on kind of everything, and I regret that for them, because I think that when they do great work, and they do great work, Ed Young did spectacular work on the pandemic before he left. There are some amazing people there. I want that to stand out better. And so this is a case where this story took over all of news media for 2 days, but also took over the Atlantic and said, this is what we can do. And I think that's an important lesson for them, that they have great work there, and I don't want to see it buried in a flood of volume content to try to get the clicks and links that our business models today drive us toward.
Jeff Jarvis, I'm going to read from your LinkedIn profile now, not ChatGPT. Maybe you haven't updated this. Author of 6 books, soon to be 7, it sounds like. Founder of a magazine, Entertainment Weekly. Creator of 3 journalism degrees at CUNY. Now emeritus, more soon. Maybe.
Oh, I guess I haven't updated it. So I'm now visiting professor at Stony Brook University's School of Communication and Journalism, and a distinguished fellow at Montclair State University's Center for Cooperative Media, and something else coming soon as well, but I can't talk about it yet.
Of course, we'll get it first. And it does say, and I'll put this plug in for you, available for speaking, boards, and consulting. It's right there, right under your picture. Jeff, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for being part of this. We love bringing you in. We get
always fun, Mike. Always fun.
Great. Thanks a lot, Jeff.